Okay, well, welcome to this week's Super Nintendo Divination. These are the games, and the first thing that came to mind was that we have here this game called Lost Dimension, or the Lost Dimension in 3D, where like a plant, a giant carnivorous plant, is breaking out from the earth and attacking. And in here too, just to sort of get things started, there's this connection with the Street Fighter thing, popping out from behind the earth or the bricks. So, yes, a minor thing, but I don't know, I like this. There's something about this I like. Things breaking out from stone or earth. Probably, maybe elemental earth, maybe earth as planet earth, maybe earth as the ground. And therefore, this could continue the theme of last week of things in the underworld that want to come out, that want to re-emerge. Then the second thing I wanted to mention was that seems to be a very explicit mention of dragons. I find it interesting because this week I did manage to organize the games in the order that the random numbers came out in. So this time it is actually random that these two numbers came next to each other, and we have two dragons. Not only do we have two dragons, but the two characters associated to these dragons are wearing a white bandana. And here, the dragon is sort of, it's his fist, right? The characters, their fists are animals. And here his fist is a dragon, which is also the fist he's wielding the sword in. So here too, the dragon is sort of emerging from behind him as if it represents, as if it's his spirit animal or something, and represents his strength. So this kind of resonates with last week's theme of fiery hands. There was something in last week where the hand was associated with fire and energy as well. So this is carrying on, but it's becoming more explicitly about an actual sort of spirit animal emerging through the hand, or some sort of maybe an animal from the depths maybe emerging, right? I mean, this is a plant, but it's clearly a beast, right? It's the archetype of the dragon, I would say. Continuing with this theme of hands, then, this, I find the hands to be very exaggerated, or at least the poses are clearly poses, where the hands are crucial. You're fighting with your hands, and this fist, for example, is completely exaggerated. It can't belong to any of these bodies. It's too big. Something where the hand is being emphasized here, and there is an electricity, a fire to this hand. Or all of the characters are dressed in red in this case, for example, right? There is a fire to the hand, and contrasted to this blue kind of thing in the background. Furthermore, more white bandanas. I know this is typical of fighting games in general, but I find it interesting that we have one white bandana, another white bandana, and another white bandana, all in succession. So this could be kind of like a crown, almost a crown thing, crown chakra or something like this. Okay, well, then I've already kind of mentioned the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is that there is this division between red and blue. we have all the red characters on the left and this blue character on the right, dividing kind of the screen in a way. I suppose the reason I see it as divided, because you could say that it isn't really divided. I mean, it's a very arbitrary kind of diagonal line that I'm painting here, but I think that it resonates with this again. These three covers are so similar. It's so funny. There is a red character on the right, on the left as well, blue character on the right. Not only that, but there is almost like waves here. So there is water on the right side, clouds, and the left side is very arid, smoke, fire. It's very divided into two kind of thing. And once again, we have a red character on the left, blue character on the right. So, striking kind of division between red and blue in these cover arts. This is, I suppose, interesting because Family Feud already highlights the theme of two teams, an opposition between two teams. Not only two teams, but two teams who are family. So it's a feud between equals, a fight between equals. So they are fighting, but they are together. There is a weird sort of duality to that, which I think it's nicely resonates in this red and blue thing. This kind of yin-yang aspect of this reoccurs here because the red character on the left has a shark or a water creature as his fist animal. And this blue guy has a fiery dragon. So that the watery clothes have the red thing, the red clothes have the blue thing. And again, the fists are ridiculously huge compared to the body. Of course, this is typical in cartoons and video games and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't seen it that much. I mean, there are covers where I don't think this would happen so much, but that may just be me anyway. The way it happens here, for instance. So a focus on the hands and the fist as being a symbol of power. Again, this big, huge golden hand. In Street Fighter, for instance, I mean, this is a reference, if I remember correctly, to the fact that in this game you actually can like break bricks with your hand. I think there are like mini games where you break bricks with your hand. So these bricks are being broken with the hand. The hand is able to transcend earth, transcend matter, something like that, or something to do with earth, I think. And now, if we go to Wild Guns, once again, the arm or the hand is the weapon of power. See, it's even the same arm than here, for example. The dragon is his left arm. And here, this dude's weapon is the left arm. And it's united with the arm. So the arm, again, like last week's reading, is the fire itself. It's united with the fire itself. Furthermore, a few small things about this. First is that the Wild Guns logo has this nice little star here that I just like because it goes well with this guy uses a star as his weapon, and there is a star to emphasize that here. And it seems to... Again, I'm not sure exactly how to develop this, but I like the fact that there is this star here on the left side, and that this guy is has got a third eye. It's like the villain represents the crown chakra opening, or the third eye chakra's opening. And this is a theme that comes up again and again, in my opinion, which is that anything that has to do with the third eye or the crown chakra's opening is represented as something extremely scary and fearful to the traditional cultural values, like this sort of macho man, like the traditional ego hero is extremely threatened by the ego dissolving third eye chakra opening. And yes, I don't know, I find it interesting that these are usually villains and they are masked, right? Or it's either a mask or a skull of some kind. Again, I think this harks back to the last reading, but I don't want to hark back to it too much, but I find it interesting in this case. It's kind of like a skull, so it already is like death, the underworld rising back up, right? But it's the death that is alive. It has been reborn, and it is non-egoic. I think it's also a mask because it obliterates identity, so identity becomes a mask or something like that. Perhaps the only reason I'm saying that is because it reminds me of this. But here we have again like masks, things sort of hiding your identity, or maybe not even hiding, highlighting, or something like that. A potential third eye resonator, but that's kind of weak stuff at the moment. In any case, the star. I like the fact that there is a star. And that once again, so returning to this, for example, the left hand is the fiery dragon. This is a left hand, right? The thumb is here, and it's also fiery. So it's funny because you can interpret this literally and say that the left hand of the picture is red, it's fire. And the right hand, this guy's right hand, is blue. And not only that, but the hand itself. So to tie, I think, some of these themes together in a chaotic kind of way, the hand is a 5-pointed star. I think the hand is a perfect, let's say, resonator in the body for the 5-pointed star, which is already fiery, right? It emits light. It is a ball of fire, potentially resonating. I don't know. I associate the number 5 somehow to something earthly, but yeah, that's just me maybe. Anyway, the next thing I want to sort of say about this kind of goes in a little more detail, and it's this. We have, okay, so let's return to Wild Guns. The right side of the picture is this guy. He seems to have these horns, not exactly horns, but I don't know, they look like horns. These weird things have wings as well on them that kind of look like things that are protruding from the head. I would say that maybe you could say that there is a theme of things protruding from the head. Again, like a crown, like horns, something that activates, that opens up in the head. And again, it's these are not human faces. They're like robotic, masked faces, skull-like faces. Okay, well, remember, that's all on the right side of the screen. This, again, it's going into the subtle sort of detail, but I find it interesting. There is this skull here on the right side of the screen. So the skull image also goes towards the right side of the screen. You could even argue it's sort of horned because it's a tower, so it's got these two sort of sub-tower hornlets and a mushroom above it, kind of like a crown. But anyway, I'm not sure. I don't want to get too bogged down in the details, but I think the only reason I'm mentioning this is because it seems to reoccur in at least not just these two cases, but a third case, which is that here also on the bottom right side of the screen we have what appears to be a statue. I may be completely wrong, and this may be like an animal or something, but it seems to be, if it's alive, then it's statue-like. Again, this is one of the problems with not knowing the game. I'm just basing myself on the images. It could even be, I mean, it could be anything really, but I feel that there is this thing of a weird grey thing on the bottom right side of the screen, and in this case, the right side of the screen. And here, this is associated, like the character that's right above it is also a horned character. So all the horn resonating things on the right side as a possibility. I mean, yeah, you could find alternative reads. You could say that this guy is horned because of the way his hat is. So I'm open to this read being completely sort of one-sided, but I'm just going to put it out there just in case. This would be interesting because then the color blue I would tend to associate to the moon and the red to the sun. So the moon I would associate somehow to the unconscious, and therefore to these scary experiences. The ego is afraid of the third eye, of the unconscious. So the ego would be the sun, what we identify with, the moon, something from the depths that is rising up, right? And then the blue would be associated to the skull and the horns, potentially. Then, as just a few final little things, I like that what I assume is the villain, it could even be an ally, I don't know, but there is this sort of character. It's hard to tell. I can't find very good quality versions of this artwork, but he seems to be like this mustached, bearded kind of old man archetype god thing floating on a cloud, and this is either a drum kit or some sort of a machine. So it looks like a flying machine of some kind, and it's like this old grey-haired mustached like devil man on a flying machine. Okay, this of course I think makes, again, I think it probably makes more sense in the context of other readings, because in the last reading, and I think a few of the others, there was this theme, I think, of the villains or something to do with spaceships. I mean, it already kind of comes up here in a way, right? There is a central image. In the center of the image is something flying up, flying with a space machine kind of thing. And this doesn't quite do it, but this guy is sort of associated to like a brigade of flying creatures, and he is much higher up than the others. So in a sense, he or she is an enemy that is coming up from the top of the screen. So they are looking up, attacking upwards. There is something that is attacking us from above in this image. And this is exactly what happens here, right? This guy is more concerned with what's coming up from above than with this plant that's coming up from the depths. So something from above. If last week was about things coming from the depths, then here something is added, something from above is added into the mix that is also of importance, right? People are looking upwards. Not to mention that in last week there was also a game with the name Dimension in it, if I recall correctly. So this theme of here, also the title is mirrored, so it also implies that both dimensions, potentially the family feud thing, right? Two sides, but they're mirrored. They are equal. They are family. They're actually the same, so they are family, but they are opposed. It's a yin-yang sort of thing, where it's the above and the below are the same, but they're separate, and they are coming together, or that there is an awareness now of, there was an awareness of the below, now there is an awareness of the above. And perhaps this reappearance of the white bandana as a potential crown chakra thing could associate to the mask. If the mask is associated to the third eye, There could be something with the bandana and the mask. So the bandana is something that maybe it covers your face more than you think, maybe because it has this ego-dissolving quality to it, right? The third eye has this quality that dissolves the face or something. It hides the face, despite it only hiding the forehead. It maybe symbolically hides the face, something like that.